The space station Riven 9 never slept. Lights stayed bright. Engines hummed. Voices from 100 alien races filled the wide metal halls. Traders shouted prices. Guards marched in lines. Screens flashed news from distant stars. But in one narrow corridor, near an old cargo airlock, everything felt quiet. There, on the cold floor, sat the alien girl. She was small, much smaller than most beings on the station. Her body was thin, almost fragile. Dark ash covered her skin. Thick oil stains marked her arms and legs. Dried blood had turned black along her side. Her hair, once long and smooth, now hung in dirty clumps around her face. Above her head, a glowing warning sign floated in the air. Biohazard species. Do not touch. People passed her every minute. They slowed when they saw her. Some pointed. Some whispered. Many turned away fast, as if just looking at her might infect them. A tall insect-like trader pulled his child closer and crossed the corridor to avoid her. A group of miners laughed and sprayed cleaning foam on the floor near her feet, then walked away. The alien girl did nothing. She did not cry. She did not shout. She did not beg. She only sat there, hugging her knees, eyes half closed, breathing slow and weak. Hours passed, then days. Station workers learned to step around her like she was part of the floor. Guards walked by and checked their scanners but never stopped. Medics glanced at the warning sign and shook their heads. Low priority life, one said quietly. The sign stayed. The girl stayed. No one wanted to touch the dirty alien. Her name was Sela, though no one bothered to ask. Sela came from a species known across the galaxy for one thing only: cleaning. Her people were sent to dead planets, toxic moons, and ruined war zones. Their bodies absorbed poison, radiation, chemical waste. They made worlds safe again. And when the job was done, they were left behind. Sela's ship had exploded weeks ago while cleaning an abandoned mining world. She escaped in a small pod and drifted until a trader found her and dropped her at Riven 9. He took payment. Then he left. The toxins stayed in her skin. The station scanners saw danger. The warning sign appeared. And that was the end of her story, or so everyone thought. Across the station, a human named Evan Cole pushed a heavy cargo cart down the main hall. He was tired. His back hurt. His shift had gone long, and his pay was never enough. He was just another human worker. No rank, no power, no special name. As Evan turned into the cargo corridor, he noticed something strange. People were avoiding one spot. That always meant trouble. He slowed his cart and looked closer. That was when he saw her. First, he thought she was dead. She did not move. Her skin looked dark and cracked. The warning sign glowed bright red above her, flashing slowly. Evan stopped. He read the words, "Do not touch." He had seen signs like that before. Dangerous machines, broken reactors, wild alien animals, but never over a person. Evan looked around. Everyone else kept walking. "Hey," he said softly, mostly to himself. "What happened to you?" Sela's eyes opened just a little. They were large and pale, filled with fear and something worse, hopelessness. Evan felt something twist in his chest. She was shaking, not from rage, not from attack, from cold, from being alone. Evan knelt down a few steps away. He did not touch her. He just stayed there. "Did someone call medical?" he asked a passing guard. The guard glanced at the sign and shrugged. "Not worth the risk." "Risk to who?" Evan asked. The guard did not answer. He walked away. Evan clenched his jaw. He had seen hard things in his life. War footage, refugee ships, dead worlds on screens. But this was different. This was right in front of him. Sela tried to pull herself back, her hands shaking as she dragged her body a few inches away from him. Her breath came fast now. Evan raised his hands slowly. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." She did not understand his words, but she understood his voice. No one had spoken to her in days. Station alarms hummed in the distance. A cleaning drone passed and avoided her by a wide margin. Evan looked at the warning sign again. Then he did something no one else had done. He reached forward and turned off his scanner. A nearby station speaker crackled to life. Warning. Human subject approaching biohazard lifeform. People stopped to watch. Evan took one step closer. The guards turned. The alien girl looked up at him, fear wide in her eyes. Evan swallowed and kept walking. The corridor felt smaller now. People had stopped walking. Some stood far away watching. Others hid behind crates and door frames. The red warning sign above the alien girl pulsed faster, as if it could feel fear. Evan stood only a few steps from her. Station guards moved closer, hands near their weapons, but they did not rush in. Humans were known for doing strange things, and no one wanted to be the one who made the wrong move. Sela pressed her back against the wall. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes stayed locked on Evan, waiting for pain, waiting for rejection. That was all she had known. Evan noticed the marks on her skin more clearly now. They were not wounds from weapons. They looked burned, but not from fire. Her skin had absorbed something deep and harmful. Even the air around her smelled sharp and bitter. He felt anger rise inside him. Not at her, at the sign, at the silence, at the way everyone looked at her like she was already dead. A station medic finally spoke from behind a scanner drone. Human, step away. Her species carries extreme toxins. Skin contact could kill you. Evan did not turn around. Then why is she still alive? He asked. The medic hesitated. Her species is designed for this. Designed. Evan repeated. She's not a tool. That word echoed through the corridor. Tool. Sela did not understand the language, but she understood the tone. Her hands tightened around her legs. The medic sighed. Her people clean poison worlds. Radiation fields. Chemical war zones. Their bodies absorb everything. That's why no one wants to touch them after. Evan slowly looked at Sela again. So you send them in, he said, voice tight. And when they're full of poison, you leave them. No one answered. That was answer enough. Evan took off his work jacket. It was old, stained with oil and dust, but it was warm. He held it out, careful not to move too fast. Sela flinched when he stepped closer. It's okay, he said softly again. I won't hurt you. She watched the jacket. Her eyes moved from it to his face. No one had offered her anything in a long time. Food was dropped near her once a day by drones. Water came through a small pipe in the wall. Touch never came. Slowly, very slowly, she reached out. Her fingers barely touched the cloth. Nothing bad happened. She pulled the jacket toward herself and wrapped it around her shoulders. Her body shook as warmth reached her skin. A quiet sound escaped her throat. Not fear, but surprise. The watching crowd grew silent. Station records began to scroll on public screens nearby. Old files, forgotten reports, data about Sela's species, population, declining, survival rate after missions, low, legal status, non-protected labor class. Evan saw it all. You call her dirty, he said, his voice louder now. But she's carrying your mess. A guard stepped forward. Human. You are interfering with station safety. Evan turned to face him. She's freezing. She's poisoned. And you left her on the floor. She is not classified as. She's alive. Evan cut in. The guard stopped speaking. Sela watched the human argue for her, though she did not know why. No one had ever argued for her before. Her people were taught to be silent, useful, replaceable. She expected Evan to walk away like the others. He did not. Instead, he crouched down again, closer now. The warning sign flashed bright red. A station voice announced, cold and calm. Biocontamination risk increasing. Recommend immediate isolation. Evan looked at the sign one last time. Then he reached out and gently placed his jacket fully around Sela's shoulders, careful not to touch her skin. The station gasped. Sela froze. Nothing happened. No alarms. No collapse. No death. Just warmth. Her eyes filled with something she did not understand. Evan smiled, small and sad. See? Still here. The medic stared at the scanner. That's not possible. Evan stood up. I'm taking her out of this hallway, he said. She needs care. Real care. You can't, the guard said. She's a hazard. Evan nodded. Then mark me one too. The guard looked at him like he was insane. Evan held out his hand toward Sela, palm open, not touching. She stared at it. Her whole life, hands meant orders or pain. Never choice. Slowly, with shaking fingers, she placed her hand near his. Not touching, just close enough to feel his warmth. That was enough. The station alarms began to rise in pitch. Quarantine protocol pending, the voice announced. Evan took a breath and made a decision that would change both their lives. The alarms did not scream yet. They hummed low, like a warning that still gave time to turn back. Red lights appeared along the corridor walls. Thin lines of light followed Evan and the alien girl as if the station itself was watching them breathe. Sela stood slowly. Her legs shook under her weight. She had not stood on her own in days. Evan stayed close, not touching her, but ready in case she fell. People backed away as she rose. Some looked afraid. Some looked angry. A few looked ashamed. The warning sign followed her, floating above her head like a shadow that could not be escaped. Biohazard species. Evan hated those words now. A senior guard stepped forward. His armor was clean and sharp. His voice was calm, but firm. Human, he said. You are ordered to step away. This situation is no longer safe. Evan met his eyes. It was never safe. Just quiet. The guard frowned. If you take her from this area, you will trigger full quarantine. You may lose your job. You may lose your travel rights. You may never leave this station. Evan did not answer right away. He looked at Sela. She stood with her shoulders tight, eyes down, ready for the moment she would be pulled away. She expected pain. She expected to be dragged back to the floor. She did not expect a choice. Evan spoke gently. I can't promise this will be easy, he said. But I won't leave you here. Sela did not know his words, but she knew his meaning. She nodded once. That was enough. Evan turned back to the guard. I accept quarantine. The crowd gasped. The guard's eyes widened. You understand what that means? Evan gave a small smile. Yeah, I think I do. The station voice changed tone. Quarantine protocol activated. Metal doors slammed shut at both ends of the corridor. Air filters roared to life. Drones lifted into the air, their lights scanning Evan and Sela again and again. Evan felt his wristband tighten. Access revoked. Employment status terminated. Just like that, his job was gone. Evan exhaled slowly. Figures. Sela watched the doors close. Her breathing grew fast. She thought this was her fault. Every bad thing always was. She took a step back. Evan noticed and raised his hand again. Hey, it's okay. I chose this. She looked at him, confused. No one had ever chosen her before. Two guards moved closer, but stopped when the station AI spoke again. Containment route assigned. Proceed to personal vessel bay. The guards exchanged looks. You have a ship? One asked. Small one, Evan said. Cargo class. That vessel will be sealed after use, the guard warned. You will be responsible for everything that happens. Evan nodded. I already am. They escorted Evan and Sela through empty halls. The station cleared paths ahead of them. Screens shut off. Shops closed their doors. Sela walked beside Evan, holding his jacket tight around her body. She felt eyes on her everywhere. She tried to make herself smaller. Evan noticed. You don't have to hide, he said quietly. She looked at him again. He did not look afraid. He did not look angry. He just looked tired, but steady. That confused her more than anything. They reached the personal vessel bay. Evan's ship waited there, old and scratched. Its paint faded from years of work. It was nothing special. Just a small human cargo ship with one living space and a basic hygiene unit. To Sela, it looked like shelter. The bay doors sealed behind them. The station voice spoke once more. This is your final warning. Biological risk remains high. Evan stepped onto the ship's ramp and turned back to Sela. This part is important, he said gently. I need you to trust me. Trust. That word felt heavy to her. She stepped onto the ramp. The ship doors closed. Silence fell. For the first time since her crash, Sela was not surrounded by strangers, not watched by crowds, not marked by signs, just a human and a quiet space. Evan leaned against the wall and let out a long breath. His hands shook now that no one was watching. He laughed once, short and nervous. Well, he said, guess I really did it. Sela sat slowly on the floor, still wrapped in his jacket. She looked around the ship. It smelled of metal and oil, but also something else. Warmth. Evan checked the ship systems. Warnings flashed across his screen. Quarantine locked. External access denied. He swallowed. No going back now. He turned toward Sela. She was watching him carefully, her eyes still full of fear, but now mixed with something new. Hope. Evan spoke softly, more to himself than to her. You're not dirty, he said. You were just left behind. Sela did not know the words, but she felt the truth. And somewhere deep in the station systems, unseen by both of them, medical sensors recorded something strange. Her toxin levels were changing. The ship was quiet. Too quiet. Sela sat on the floor near the wall, knees pulled close to her chest. The metal beneath her felt cold, but Evan's jacket still held some warmth. She clutched it tightly, afraid it might be taken away like everything else had been. Evan moved slowly around the small ship. He checked doors. He sealed vents. He read warning messages flashing across the control panel. Red words filled the screen one after another. Biohazard confirmed. Cleaning required. Human exposure not advised. Evan sighed and rubbed his face. She needs to be clean, he muttered. Not locked away. He looked toward the hygiene unit at the back of the ship. It was small, meant for one tired human after a long shift. Not for an alien filled with toxins from dead worlds. Still, it was all he had. Evan walked toward Sela and crouched down a few steps away. He stayed at her level, careful, calm. I'm going to turn on water, he said softly. Warm water. Sela did not understand the words, but the tone made her tense. Her people feared water. On her world, water fell cold and sharp from the sky. It burned their skin when mixed with toxins. Many of her kind had died screaming under rain they could not escape. Her eyes widened. Her breathing sped up. Evan noticed. He stopped moving. Hey, he said quietly. It's okay. I won't force you. He stood up and walked to the hygiene unit instead. He opened the door and turned his back to her. He slowly adjusted the controls. Water began to flow. Steam filled the small room. Warm steam, not cold, not sharp. Sela lifted her head slightly. She felt it before she understood it. The air changed. It was gentle. It did not sting her lungs. Evan spoke again, his voice steady. You don't have to come in yet. He stepped away and sat against the opposite wall, giving her space. Minutes passed. The water kept running. Sela watched the steam drift out into the ship. It wrapped around her skin softly. For the first time in weeks, her body did not ache as much. Slowly, painfully, she stood. Her legs shook, but she stayed upright. Evan did not move. She took one small step toward the hygiene unit. Then another. Her heart pounded hard. Memories flooded her mind. Cold rain. Screams. Pain. She stopped at the doorway. The warm air touched her face. It did not hurt. Tears filled her eyes. Evan spoke from across the room, still not looking at her. I'll stay here. I won't watch. I promise. That mattered. Sela stepped inside. The door stayed open just a little. She reached one shaking hand toward the falling water. It was warm, hot, but not burning. The water touched her skin, and something strange happened. The pain eased. Dark stains began to slide off her body and down the drain. Layers of ash and oil melted away. The sharp smell faded. Sela gasped and leaned forward, letting the water fall over her shoulders. She made a soft sound, low and broken. Relief. Outside the room, Evan watched the ship's medical screen light up on its own. Numbers moved fast. Toxin levels dropping. Cell damage. Stabilizing. Unknown biological response detected. Evan stood slowly. That's not possible, he whispered. Inside the hygiene unit, Sela sank to her knees. The water washed over her again and again. For the first time since her mission began, her body felt lighter. Cleaner. Not just on the outside. Her true skin color showed through. Pale blue, almost glowing under the warm light. Scars faded. Cracks closed. She cried quietly, not from fear, but from something she had never felt before. Safety. The station AI suddenly cut into the ship systems. Alert. Biological anomaly detected. External monitoring engaged. Evan cursed under his breath. Of course. He moved quickly to shut down external sensors, but it was too late. Data had already been sent. The galaxy was watching now. Inside the hygiene unit, Sela felt tired, but alive. She turned off the water and wrapped herself in a clean cloth Evan had left near the door. She stepped out slowly. Evan turned around. He froze. She looked different. Healthier. Brighter. Not dirty. Not broken. Just alive. They stared at each other in silence. Then the ship shook slightly as a message arrived from the station. Unidentified medical event confirmed. Authorities en route. Evan swallowed. Whatever had just happened, it could not be hidden. And the galaxy was about to learn the truth. The ship lights dimmed as a priority signal forced its way into the system. Evan stood between Sela and the control panel, as if his body alone could protect her from whatever was coming. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. Sela watched him carefully. She felt different now. Lighter. Stronger. The pain that had lived under her skin for so long was fading, like a bad dream losing its hold. She looked down at her hands. They were clean. Not perfect, but clean. That was something she had never seen before. The ship's main screen turned bright. Incoming authority transmission. Evan did not answer right away. He looked at Sela. Whatever happens, he said quietly, you stay behind me. She nodded once. The screen opened. 3 figures appeared. A station doctor, a quarantine officer, and a medical AI projection made of pale blue light. The doctor spoke first. Human Evan Cole, your vessel has transmitted data showing a sudden drop in toxin levels inside a hazardous lifeform. Explain. Evan crossed his arms. I gave her warm water. Silence followed. The quarantine officer frowned. That is not possible. Her species absorbs toxins permanently. The medical AI shifted, its light flickering. Correction. That assumption was never tested under controlled thermal conditions. The doctor's eyes widened. Run the data again. The AI did. Numbers filled the screen. Charts rose and fell. Biological models changed shape. Cell regeneration. Confirmed. Toxin release via thermal flush. Confirmed. The officer's voice turned sharp. Are you saying this species can be cleaned? The AI paused. Yes, with sufficient heat, water flow, and time. The doctor whispered. We never tried. Evan felt anger rise again. Because you never cared enough to try. No one argued. Sela stood behind Evan, listening. She did not understand the words, but she felt the shift in the air. The way fear was slowly turning into something else. Respect. The doctor leaned closer to the screen. Alien life form? Do you feel pain? Sela hesitated. She did not know how to answer. Evan glanced back at her. It's okay, he said. Just tell the truth. She stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. Pain less, body lighter. The doctor's breath caught. You're speaking clearly, he said. That wasn't possible before. Sela tilted her head. Pain made words heavy. The medical AI processed her speech patterns. Cognitive clarity increasing as toxin levels decrease. The quarantine officer leaned back slowly. This changes everything. The ship vibrated slightly as more signals arrived. Evan's screen filled with notifications. Medical Council requesting access. Xenobiology Division observing. Data lock requested. Evan felt suddenly very small. I didn't mean to start something big, he said quietly. The doctor looked at him. You already did. Sela watched Evan's face. She could sense his worry now. Fear for her. Fear for himself. She took one step forward. Human Evan, she said carefully, using his name for the first time. You saved me. Evan shook his head. I just turned on water. Sela looked at him with calm eyes. No. You stayed. That mattered more than heat or water. The quarantine officer cleared his throat. By station law, this life form should be transferred to a research facility. Sela's body tensed. Evan stepped forward instantly. No. The officer raised a brow. You are in no position to refuse. The medical AI spoke again. Objection noted. Ethical review required. The doctor nodded slowly. She is not a sample. She is a patient. The officer hesitated. Across the galaxy, data streams spread. Other stations, other doctors, other species began reading the same impossible reports. A species once marked as dirty was healing. Not by force, not by machines, but by simple care. The doctor addressed Sela gently. Do you consent to medical observation? Sela looked at Evan. He met her eyes. It's your choice. That was new. Choice. She thought of the floor she had slept on. The warning sign. The cold. Then she thought of warm water. Quiet space. A human who stood between her and the galaxy. I consent, she said. If Evan stays. The doctor smiled, small but real. That can be arranged. Evan let out a breath he did not know he was holding. The quarantine officer looked away, troubled. The ship's lights returned to normal. For the first time, Sela was not alone. And somewhere deep in the galactic network, a dangerous thought began to spread. What if humans were right? What if helping was stronger than fear? The ship no longer felt small. Not because it had grown, but because so many eyes were now on it. Holographic signals filled the air around Evan's vessel. Medical councils, xenobiology groups, trade authorities. Species that had never spoken to one another were now watching the same data streams. Sela stood beside Evan, no longer hiding behind him. Her posture was straighter. The clean light of the ship reflected off her skin, showing colors no one had cared to see before. The warning sign was gone. That alone felt unreal. A new signal pushed through all the others. Galactic Ethics Council. Priority Channel. Evan's stomach tightened. The screen changed again. 7 figures appeared, each different in shape and size. Some were organic. Some were partly metal. One was a shifting cloud of light. They were ancient, powerful, and rarely united on anything. The Ethics Council did not speak often. When it did, worlds changed. A tall, thin figure spoke first. Its voice echoed, calm but heavy. Human Evan Cole. Alien citizen designated Sela. Your actions have triggered a level 7 review. Evan swallowed. I didn't mean to break any laws. Another council member responded, its voice sharp. You did break them. Sela's hands clenched. Evan felt her fear and stepped closer, not touching, but present. If helping someone is illegal, he said, then maybe the law is wrong. The chamber fell silent. No one had spoken to the council like that in a long time. A third member leaned forward. Explain your reasoning, human. Evan took a breath. He was not a speaker. He was not a leader. He was just tired of seeing people hurt. She was left on the floor, he said simply. She was sick, cold, alone. I had water. I had heat. I stayed. That is not a scientific explanation, another council member said. Evan nodded. No, it's a human one. Data streams appeared beside the council members. Charts, history files, mission logs. The truth unfolded in silence. Thousands of worlds cleaned by Sela's species. Millions of toxins absorbed. No recovery protocols. No return transport. No protection laws. The council members shifted. One spoke softly. They were classified as expendable. Sela lowered her gaze. That word had followed her people for generations. Expendable. Evan clenched his fists. She's not a filter. She's a person. The medical AI's voice entered the channel. Confirmed. Species demonstrates emotional depth, advanced communication, and social bonding. Previous classifications were incomplete. Incomplete, echoed one council member. Or convenient? No one answered. A fourth member spoke, its voice carrying shame. Our systems benefited from their suffering. The words hung heavy. Sela lifted her head. My people were taught silence, she said. Her voice was steady, though her hands shook. We cleaned. We endured. We waited to be dismissed. The council listened. We believed pain was our purpose, she continued. No one told us pain could end. Evan looked at her, surprised by her strength. The council members exchanged quiet signals among themselves. Finally, the first speaker returned. Human Evan Cole, if your method can be replicated, entire populations may be saved. Why was this not discovered sooner? Evan answered without thinking. Because no one asked if they could be saved. That was the moment the galaxy changed. The council issued commands in rapid sequence. Immediate moratorium on expendable classifications. Mandatory care protocols for hazard species. Human medical methods under review. Sela felt something shift deep inside her chest. For the first time, her people were being spoken about, not over. One council member addressed her directly. Sela of the Cleaners. What do you want? The question stunned her. Want? She thought of her people scattered across dead worlds. She thought of children taught to accept pain as duty. I want them to come home, she said quietly. The council nodded. It will be done. Evan felt his throat tighten. Another council member turned to him. Human, your species will be studied. Evan gave a tired smile. We get that a lot. The member continued. You are dangerous. Evan stiffened. Because, the council member said, you interfere where others look away. The signal ended. The ship fell quiet again. Sela looked at Evan. You changed the galaxy. He shook his head. No, you did. Sela considered this. Then she said softly, you stayed. And for the first time in galactic history, that was written into law. The galaxy did not change all at once. It never did. But it shifted. Slowly, carefully, like a great machine learning a new way to move. Weeks passed. Evan's ship was no longer locked in quarantine. It floated near Riven 9, quiet and clean, watched not by guards but by doctors. The cargo ship that once carried scrap now carried something far more valuable. Hope. Sela stood at the viewing window looking out at the stars. Her skin held its soft blue glow now. The pain that once ruled her body was gone. In its place was strength she did not know she had. Behind her, Evan adjusted a loose panel. He was still a worker at heart. Fixing things felt right. They're ready, he said. Sela nodded. A transport ship approached, marked with new symbols. Not warning signs, not hazard marks. They were care symbols. Medical vessels sent by the Galactic Ethics Council. Her people were coming. Across multiple systems, members of Sela's species were being gathered. For the first time, they were not being moved as tools or cargo, but as patients, as survivors. Sela's hands trembled. Evan noticed. You okay? She took a breath. I am afraid. That's fair, he said. They will not believe it at first, she said. They have been promised help before. Evan leaned beside her, looking at the stars. Then we'll show them. The transport docked smoothly. Doctors entered Evan's ship, slow and respectful. They bowed slightly to Sela. That alone felt unreal. A council representative followed. It was the same tall figure from before. Sela of the Cleaners, it said. You have been named ambassador for your people. Sela blinked. Me? You speak with clarity born from pain, the figure replied. And you speak truth. She looked at Evan. He raised his hands. Don't look at me. You earned it. The council figure turned to Evan. And you, human Evan Cole. Evan sighed. Here it comes. The figure paused. You have been offered reinstatement, compensation, status. Evan shook his head. I don't need any of that. The figure tilted its head. Then why did you do it? The question echoed through the ship. Doctors paused. Drones stilled. Even the hum of the engines seemed quieter. Evan thought for a moment. Then he answered simply, "Because I could." No grand speech. No heroic claim. Just truth. The council figure studied him. "That answer is troubling." Evan smiled faintly. "Yeah, that's what they keep telling us." The figure continued. "Your species will be recorded under a new designation." Evan raised an eyebrow. "Is it bad?" "Potentially," the figure replied. "Humans will be classified as interventionist empaths." Sela repeated the words softly. "Empaths," Evan said. "Sounds nicer than troublemakers." The figure did not disagree. As the transport prepared to leave, Sela turned to Evan. "Come with us." Evan hesitated. He looked at his ship, his simple life, the job he lost, the quiet paths he once walked. Then he looked at her. "Yeah," he said. "I think I will." The ship launched gently. Through the stars, they traveled to a medical world prepared for healing. Sela's people waited there, thin, tired, expecting nothing. When Sela stepped forward, clean and strong, they stared in silence. She spoke to them. "We were never dirty," she said. "We were carrying the galaxy's pain." Doctors activated warm water chambers. Steam filled the air. One by one, her people stepped forward. Some cried. Some laughed. Some simply stood in shock as pain left their bodies for the first time. Evan watched from the side, his chest tight. A small child from Sela's species looked up at him. "Are you human?" He nodded. The child thought for a moment. "Are all humans like you?" Evan smiled sadly. "Not all, but enough." That answer spread faster than any data stream. Across the galaxy, stories followed. Humans who stepped in. Humans who touched what others would not. Humans who stayed. In the galactic records, one final note was added. "Warning, humans are dangerous. They do not fear the untouchable. They help because they can." Sela stood beside Evan, watching a new dawn rise over a healed world. For the first time, her people were not alone. And the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again.